Good morning, everyone. My name is Shivani Singh. I am a student of M.A. Political Science second year. Today, I'll be presenting an article review of an article written by Mohammad Sajid Malik on track to diplomacy and its impacts on Pakistan's and India's peace process. Regarding this article was published in Strategic Studies and it discusses history and practice of track to diplomacy. It explains why civil society engagement matters between two countries and it shows how track to diplomacy supports long-term peaceful process. India and Pakistan have a history of decades of wars, rivalry, nationalism and mistrust. There have been frequent failures of official talks, specifically after 2019. Strong domestic politics and media narratives intensify these tensions. There is need for alternative channels to keep communication alive, as after 2019, all diplomatic ties from Pakistan has been cut. Track to diplomacy and its evolution. Track to diplomacy is an unofficial, flexible, and non governmental dialogue. It is conducted by scholars, retired officials, activists, journalists, and NGOs. It aims to reduce mistrust and build confidence. Helps generate ideas when states cannot negotiate officially. The evolution of this concept, if we see, this term was coined by Joseph Montwell in 1981. It later expanded into multi-track diplomacy. This includes NGOs, media, business groups, religious leaders, cultural groups, youth networks, etc. In South Asia, this concept gained momentum after 1990s. Recent efforts done under Track to Diplomacy are Neem Rana Dialogue, long running India Pakistan Strategic Talks, India Pakistan People's Forum for Peace and Democracy, built in 1994. There's youth and academic exchanges supported by US and Japan. Religious diplomacy example Maulana Fazlur Rahman's visits. There are cultural diplomacy, films, music, journalist Aman Ki Asha under Aman Ki Asha. Track 3 diplomacy is citizens' peace activism like candlelight marches. There are also many uh, there are also many things carried out by the Indian government like the Lahore bus service or Samjhauta Express. There is also Kartarpur Sahib corridor, which is an example of track to diplomacy. Impact on the peace process. This has helped create a positive environment for 1997 Lahore Declaration in the past. It supported confidence building measures during and after 2004 composite dialogues. It kept communication alive after Kargil, Parliament attack and 2611. It built a small but strong constituency for peace from both sides, encouraged new ideas like softer borders and expanded travel links. If we see the strengths and weaknesses of the track to diplomacy, we see that the track to diplomacy keeps dialogue alive while track 1 collapses. It promotes trust building and reduces suspicion. It involves civil society, journalists, and academics and generates creative, flexible solutions outside the government and helps maintain communication during hostility. While the while the while we see on the other side, it is limited by limited participation, which includes mostly elites and cannot resolve hard disputes like Kashmir on its own, often confidential and lacks transparency. Impacts depend on willingness of governments to listen, and track to diplomacy can be easily disrupted by extremist violence or political shift. So, hence, track to diplomacy is important but cannot replace formal diplomacy and works best when alignment with track 1 efforts, valuable for shaping narratives and softening rigid positions, and needs more inclusivity and participation from ordinary citizens. In conclusion, I would like to say that track to diplomacy is vital but imperfect tool for India-Pakistan peace and helps sustain communication, reduce hostility and build trust. Official diplomacy must support and integrate these initiatives. Long-term peace requires government action plus collective civil society engagement. Track to diplomacy's strength lies in transforming mindsets and keeping hope alive. Thank you.